What is going on, y'all? My name is Ayush Munshi, and today we're going to be taking a look at Week 5 fantasy football winners and losers. There's a lot of people to look through this week, but we're just going to focus on a couple winners and losers, and then I'm going to give you my picks for who I think will be successful next week. So let's get right into it. First, the winners. My first winner on the list is Austin Eckler. And, through 4 weeks of the season, or through 3 weeks of the season, actually, he didn't look so hot. Not the Austin Eckler of last year. He had no touchdowns. The Chargers didn't really seem to be running it in the red zone. People were panicked, should I sell low on him, sell high, whatever, buy low, buy high. And I just kept on to him with my team. I didn't really have much other choice, but he came through for me today, last week, and he scored, I believe, 3 touchdowns, another 30-point week from his second 30-point week behind. And this just makes sense. The dude gets like a 80% target share every game almost. It doesn't even matter that they're not running it with him. He's such an effective back in the passing game. And even when they do run with him, he runs off just these quick, like 30, 40-yard runs. And so they maintain his usage that way. That way they can throw it to him. And that is why he's the current number one fantasy running back, as of this moment. Next is Travis Kelce. Now, every year, at least for the past couple of years, tight end has just been a complete wasteland. Nobody knows who to draft. Well, we know who to draft, but is it even worth drafting a high tight end instead of just, trying to find someone in the late rounds that can replicate that production? Well, we know that is impossible because Travis Kelce is one and only. No single digit weeks for him. He just puts consistent production week in and week out. Every year we wonder, is he getting older? What's going to happen? But he's proved to defeat Father Time as he had 7 catches for 25 yards and 4 touchdowns. Mahomes said that it would be a wide receiver by committee with the loss of of Tyreek Hill, but it did not seem to bother them whatsoever, which is crazy. Uh, and so he is the one and only. Even if you think of like Mark Andrews, Darren Waller has been banged up. Those guys haven't been putting up the consistent numbers like Kelce, and therefore Kelce is just one and only. Honestly, he might be worth those earlier on picks just for those value that he brings. And I believe he is wide receiver 3 if you were to compare him to the actual receivers. And lastly, rounding up, we got Saquon Barkley. I was really low on Saquon coming into the season. I thought he's just another injury prone. It'll only be a little bit before, he gets injured again after the season. We've seen the same song and dance. But I didn't factor in Brian DeBole coming in. I didn't know how much his impact would be. And it seems he has somehow dragged these G-men football team to 4-1. And Saquon has benefited from that. He might be the only offensive weapon the Giants have, which is crazy considering that, again, they're 4-1. And he is running back 3 overall, and he has great production running and passing. He gets the touchdowns, he gets the catches, he rushes. I mean, what more could you need? He will be in your starting lineup. And now we'll move on to the losers. First up, we have the entire Lions offense, which I was a victim of. They are the number one scoring offense and the number one worst defense points allowed wise. So you'd think it's the ultimate, concoction for what fantasy players can do. But Bill Belichick has Jared Goff's number. He stopped the Goffense. 0 points, 0 for 6 on fourth downs. Their best player probably was Josh Reynolds with 15 points. But other than that, Jared Goff, DeAndre Swift, or who I believe was out actually. So Jamal Williams and TJ Hawkinson did not do anything in the face of the Patriots. So that was a big burn right there. Second, we have James Robinson, who looked great the first 2 weeks, despite being drafted at least in like the mid fifth, sixth, seventh round. He was looking great. They were playing him over ETN, but recently, I don't know what's going on. We have some stats here. His snap count, week 2 and 3, he had 89 to Etienne's 59, and he had 89 to Etienne's 59 in week 2 and 3, but then in week 4 and 5, he only has 52 to Etienne's 64. So they're kind of dwindling his snap count in favor of Etienne. I mean, it's the Jags. Their offense looked kind of competent in that Chargers game, but ever since then, it has been low sailing. Trevor Lawrence has been playing terribly, which of course benefacts to that as they're not even able to get their offense off of the ground. You can't clear the running game if your quarterback is not passing worth a damn. And is this a false warning, or is this the unfortunate truth that we will see for Trevor Lawrence? Well, or for James Robinson, I think as of right now, there is some cause for concern. So ESPN has him projected, I believe, like 9 points this week, a huge drop off from his prior week. So make sure you maintain that and understand. And lastly, we have Russell Wilson. Broncos country is not riding. He's playing through injury, I believe, a shoulder injury. But even so, you'd think with his weapons and what he's able to do downfield, what we've seen him do downfield, he's just not translating. His athleticism could be declining a bit, which could be a factor in why he feels he can't run as much, which was usually his floor before. And he doesn't like passing in the middle of the field, which kind of hurts him. But other than that, he was not the esteemed quarterback that you would draft in your draft. And lastly, who to start next week, who I believe you should start with heavy confidence. I hope. Number one, we have Chris Olave, Saints. He has been getting big targets, long targets. I believe he leads the league in air yards thrown too. So he's always getting some bomb down the field. Doesn't matter who is starting at quarterback, Dalton, Jameis Winston, even Taysom Hill, they do throw it to him. They do like him as a target in that offense. Michael Thomas is out this week. Just gives him more of an opportunity to shine. He may have a concussion issue lingering, but if he gets that cleared up, he should be ready to go. And second, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And Helaire is interesting because he doesn't pull up the stats, it feels like. He just gets the touchdowns. But, I mean, it's the Chiefs, and they're playing the Bills. So that could be a big blowout game. He could just rack up TDs. Perfect start there. And lastly, we have Gabe Davis, who, while he may not be getting the volume that you would hope from a receiver on that team, I think his boom bust potential is insane because when he busts, it's nothing, and when he booms, it's a nuclear explosion. So I'm predicting a nuclear explosion for this week. Once again, Chiefs Bills should just be a crazy matchup, high scoring. Bet the over. There will be points in this game, and you should start Gabe Davis, Edwards-Helaire, and basically anyone else you have in the Chiefs offense, aside from maybe Smith-Schuster, and he has his own problems to deal with. But that'll be it for me. I hope some of your players appeared in this list. I hope you weren't burned too heavily, and I hope if you follow my advice, it works out for you. I'm Ayush Munshi. I'll see you later. Peace.